When you were designing the G Series, what were some of the specific things that you wanted to improve and address with this platform?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the previous bike was the R17 to this. And one of the things we wanted to do is get this frame lower, because that's a big problem. You know, a lot of our riders are older and they have issues and they just really like this low frame. And the bike industry doesn't do that. And that sent us on this issue of like, well, you have to have the suspension and you have to bring it low. And a lot of the bikes just throw the shock up there so they can't lower the frame. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't do that. So this took quite a bit of engineering to bring the frame down in here. And then we had to really strengthen the frame because this triangle is strong, but it's, you know, but it's out here kind of in free space. So this being carbon fiber, we can reinforce it in the areas we need to give this rigidity that we wanted. So yeah, moving that down is a big thing. We also wanted to go to a removable battery, so it was easier for people to take out. And then we redid this as 170 millimeters of travel front and rear, which is quite a lot for a type of bike like this, and to have a low center of gravity. We also went to a new motor that our old motors used to slide in. This is a bolt-in motor, which allowed us to do some more isolation and make it quieter. It's easier to take out now. And then we redesigned the case to make it smaller. So we did a lot of things in that. So it's a new design of the motor. We moved the controller on the older bikes was up here. We moved it down here, which shortened the wires, which gives it a better performance than the longer wires and lightens the bike. So overall, and this is a heat sink. One of the things that you won't see on other e-bikes is heat sinks because they can't produce any power. And the controller's on the side of this, and when it's putting out 750 watts, or these same bikes will put out 2,500 watts, there's a lot of heat coming out of the controller. So we need this amount of heat sinking.
And just out of curiosity, you said this is 750 watts. Like, what are you looking at on most other e-bikes?
European bikes might be nominally 250, 500 peaks. And again, this motor will do 2,500 watts. The E-Venture series of this will put out 2,500 watts peak and 1,600 watts continuous power. And then, wow. So that's why we have this big heat sink here.
So say that again. 250 watts is typical, and you've got a peak output of 2,500.
Now that's in off-road mode. You know, it's not a legal road bike, but it's legal on forest roads. So our E-Venture series has that ability to ride off-road.
And that's not torque, to be clear, but that is the amount of power that
power gives you speed
that the motor's actually able to consume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing we didn't talk about is what does torque get you? And torque, you can think of it like a diesel. If you're familiar with a diesel, it'll just keep chugging. So when you're going up a hill and the bike starts to slow down because the hill gets steeper, well, the higher torque you have, the more it'll just keep chugging up that hill. If you look at a bike with a lower torque, it's just going to go up there and literally stop. It can't keep that motor
You're going to be
around.
walking it up the hill.
It will just stop. And the power will be how fast you go up that hill. Mm-hmm. But the torque it makes you have to shift less because you just, as you go up and down the hills, you can keep it in higher gear and it'll keep chugging up the hill. That makes it a lot easier to ride. So these motors are built to last. So if you're looking at an EMT version, which is 750 watts, they last forever because they're overbuilt.
What am I looking at for maintenance if, say I have the bike for a couple of years and something breaks on it? What do I do at that point?
So we sell direct all over the world, and we service bikes in 35 countries. So we work with the customer, and sometimes they'll send the components back. And we don't replace motors. We rebuild them. It's kind of an environmental thing. They're built well to begin with, so some pieces may break, and we just repair them and send them back to the customer.
Yeah, so the maintenance of this looks more like car maintenance. It's like you've got something solid that's going to last over time, and you want to replace and maintain the parts.
Yeah. If you have one of these, like they just keep running and running. They're like those Land Rovers or something. Our previous generation, the aluminum frame, and they just keep running and running and running, and they just won't die. You got to replace the parts. But other e-bikes, they're just trashed. The components are garbage and they fall apart. Frames even wear out. So we're proud of that that our bikes last, because it's a valuable investment, and if you maintain them, they'll keep running.
What are you most proud of about this model?
The way it rides,
Yeah.
the whole package.
It's how it feels.
Yeah, it's just the joy to ride. Everyone that's ridden it is just absolutely amazed. They just go, it's the best thing I've ever ridden. I just can't believe this. When you design a bike, you're never really sure how it will work at the final product. Sometimes it's a little less than you thought. And this was way more the package than we thought. So we're really excited about that. It is a generational shift for us as we go into the 20th year. And it's just an amazing bike. It's going to excite people like can't believe. And I just talked to one of my customers that owned every bike we've made, and he was looking at getting one of our other bikes. And I said, we're coming out with this. And he goes, well, I'll take one of those because it looks like a really neat bike.